this and see what is going to happen. As of course we actually start Lost and Found, which is the map which I personally don't like just because of the colour scheme, but that's perhaps just me, as you do have to the bottom left hand side the blue Zerg player. It is Nerchio. He's going up against the red Terran player to the top right hand side. It is INnoVation. As GLHF going to be called here in these early stages. And we get going on one of the standard map entries for this tournament. We actually have a map from every section of the tournament in these first 4 maps here today. This being a standard map. Afterwards we're going to go into 16-bit and macro map. I've actually just lied to you guys because we don't have one of the new maps in. Okay, apologies. I'm a terrible person, what can I say? As you do just see Overlord coming across the map, looking to see what's going on in this barracks, currently from INnoVation, just building up at the front at his wall-off. A couple of drones on the way out from both players, sorry, from Nerchio at least, as he goes into the hatch gas pool to get us started. So we haven't really, I feel as though Lost and Found's one of the maps we haven't seen a lot of longer games on, apart from Solo versus Bly yesterday. That gave us a much longer game on this match, and a much better kind of look to see just how, just how things were going, and how, how the ZvZ played out, I guess. Obviously, ZvZ is a bit of a weird one in the mirror matchup. We got to see the map for a little bit longer, and we got to see some cool, interesting stuff at this third base. This kind of choked up area actually ended up hurting Solo quite a bit in his defense, more so than helping him to defend, because the lurkers just sat in it, and then he couldn't actually move forwards from this position. And I think just what we saw a lot of yesterday was just how powerful a lot of the ramps are on this map. Obviously, we had lurkers in play, and so it was a very kind of exaggerated, well, if you're going up a ramp, you're going to have trouble. It really showed you that it's actually kind of difficult to attack on this map if defenses are in position, because every entrance to base is kind of like choked up. There's not any bases that are really out in the open. We have this very kind of empty center of the map as well, which is also just a little bit up and down, so it allows for a lot of army movement around. And yeah, and then you get to the bases up here, which are actually very close together, I think, is the one thing that I did realize yesterday that I hadn't really thought of until now. So, going to be seeing the feelings coming in, and just going to be seeing the Reaper is pulling back, as we see one Zerglin already being picked off. A few drones just mine away on that natural expansion as well, with link speed continuing to come on up here. Going to be allowing Nerchio to, of course, start taking some of that map control. Obviously, hatch gas pool initially isn't really anything too crazy. He's only got 1 extra queen on the way up, by the way, so we're not going up to 4 queens just yet. We'll see maybe if that means something aggressive here for him, or maybe he's just going to go for it after the 3rd hatchery, as we do see it already now, dropping down on this left-hand side. So that hatchery is on the way up, as we do on the same time have a starport coming into the main base. So INnoVation with the 1-1-1 initial build order here, as you see the tech lab dropping down the barracks. And when we saw some of his TvZ the other day, he was using a lot of Hellbat attacks. He's actually going for this build where you get a lot of Hellions. So you go for an initial Hellbat attack, and then you still build another 10 or so Hellions behind it. Created some interesting games when he was playing in the group stages. He played against both Snoot and against Solar. So interested to see how that might go, and look to see what Nerchio can do, as we are just going to be having this queen pushing that back, and the Lings here coming forward to try and attack the Reaper. Now we do have already, by the way, $300 guaranteed for each of these players in the semi-finals today. If you lose today in both the semi-finals and then the 3rd place match, you'll still walk away with $300. If you lose in your semi-final but you win the 3rd place match, aka you finish 3rd, you'll get $500. And then if you go into the grand finals, you're guaranteed $750 plus $50 map 1 for 2nd place, and for 1st place $1,000 plus $50 map 1 as well. And yes, the finals is indeed tomorrow, as you see the queens pushing in, and able to get rid of this first Hellion run by from actually entering a mineral line at all. INnoVation going straight in towards a Banshee here as well, Cloak 2, and is stopped making Hellions for just a moment. We'll see if that's going to be a continued thing for him, or if he's going to go back into Hellion production in the near future. But now he's throwing down the 3rd CC, he is going into extra gases, so it looks as though for INnoVation, it's already time for him to make a decision about what sort of style he will play here. And it looks as though it's going to be some mech play. Now, it was mech that carried MMA to the 1 victory against Nerchio yesterday that he found for himself, so we'll see if it's going to be mech, the weakness of Nerchio, once again today perhaps, or whether it's just about going to be something he can deal with this time around. Just to see how mech works on this map, but I imagine it, it makes a lot of sense. Easy to hold bases where a few tanks will hold off a lot of these choke points in which Nerchio can attack through to attack the bases. And also then, when you're pushing across the map, it's very difficult for Nerchio to flank, got to take down these rocks to flank in the center. There's only so many ways he can kind of come from at one point, and so it really allows the mech army to get away with a lot here. As we do see those Hellions just gathering up between the natural and between the third base as we continue to get going. Now are the 1-1 vehicle upgrades as well coming in on the armories, which have just finished up moments ago, and that of course allows INnoVation to get into a very strong composition where his army is just going to be dealing so much damage with every single tank shot. Things are going to just disappear so quickly. It's going to be a little bit crazy, as we do have the one SCV here just move down to the low ground to start saturating this third base, which INnoVation already has in location at 6 minutes in mining, by the way, and especially these gases. Having these mining so early in the game is just huge for him. It's been very passive in terms of an opening, as we do see a couple drones going down to the double Banshee squad. We've not really seen much from these guys just yet. This is the first time they're really coming into play, and unfortunately we're going to see the death of one of them already. He has 5 workers here in total for the Banshees, so it's not bad, but obviously it would be nice if he could have kept the 2 of them alive, because then you can do a lot in terms of continuing to play moving onwards, as he does get this one out of the main base in time, it seems, to keep that alive and on the map. I mean, again, it can just be used for so many different things, cleaning up some creep here and there, watching a 4th base coming down, just general map controls. We see double lair building from Nerchio. Looks as though that was a little bit of a misclick from him. He started them so soon after each other that it's almost as though he had the hatchery selected and he just pressed L twice. Maybe he just wants the extra health on his main base as well as the natural. No, of course not. That doesn't really make sense. As we see both Infestation Pit and Hydroglisten coming down. In fact, a lot of tech coming in off the lair because he also goes Balin speed right away. So going to be playing Lingbait and Hydra with the Infestation Pit to start rushing up in towards Hive Tech for those Vipers to deal with this mech army. But there's a very small possibility of maybe we see Swarm Hosts here, but I would be very surprised. As Nerchio is also, by the way, going melee and missile upgrades, so going to 1-1-1 across the board on the upgrades. As INnoVation not going to slow down when it comes to expansions, his 4th command center starts just as the 4th hatchery of Nerchio is on the way through. Just a single hive from Nerchio though, he's not going to go double hive as the 4 drop comes into the main base, and already a couple drones going down. This has already not been a bad start, as we're going to be seeing Hellions out in the middle of the map, going to find a lot of Zerglings, or maybe I should say the Zerglings find them, because they get a bit of a surround, but the Hellions are trading so well here, able to pull back as Nerchio loses his spawning pool. That's going to hurt if he's looking to play Lingbait and Hydra, because now he can't make the Zerglings. As we're going to see Nerchio going to be losing an Extractor as well, it seems, before he actually moves forwards to deal with this, as these Hellions morph into Hellbats down on that low ground. Now these 4s are going to back this up as well. And that could be a dead hatchery here if Nerchio doesn't have a response in the very near future. I mean, that hatchery is going to drop so quickly with the 4s on top of it, and now the Ling Hydra commits on in. Just finish off targeting down the hatchery, and he does. Yeah, he will get it. I mean, these Hellbats are just doing such a good job for him in the front, and he's just going to be able to actually work his way so easily through these Hydralisks as well. Oh man, Nerchio is in a lot of trouble. He's making extra overlords even though he's down 115 over 162 now as those finish. Hive is about to come up, but coming back from this is not easy, and again, having lost the spawning pool, he cannot make those Zerglings, which are going to be one of the key components of his army, as the Vikings do come around, and they're starting to pick off overlords, which are actually spread all over the map, and the more of these he gets rid of, well, the better of a position INnoVation is going to find himself in as well. Nerchio's starting to realize this and starts to pull those back. Apparently INnoVation is going to give mercy to that overlord here today, as we are going to be having, again, Hydra's coming forwards, and they will find one of the Vikings, but not quite have enough damage on it to pick up the first kill. I mean, as this army stacks up, obviously INnoVation has gone from the early game hanking a Hellion Banshee harass into the 4s to harass them next, keeping the Zerg player busy and just dealing damage throughout, as now he's finally built up into the siege tank count. He's going to be able to start moving forwards with this here, as we're just going to be seeing INnoVation landing his Vikings and already picking off a couple of these Queens. Scan coming down to pick away at some of the creep tumors, and as these creep tumors get picked away at, we're going to see him arriving on this 4th base, which he's already killed off once in this game, and this is going to be round 2. There's just not an answer here from Nerchio. He's just massing Hydralisks. I just can't imagine a world in which massing Hydralisks is going to work against Blue Flame Hellions and Siege Tanks. You need something a little bit different. You need the power, or the burst power of the Ling Bane, to actually just bust through the Hellbats and get on top of the tanks more quickly. there's just not that there here for Nerchio. He's actually starting to build up some roaches, but I mean, as those tanks siege up between the natural and the third base, obviously it doesn't really look too pretty, as we're going to be seeing this Queen's going down. The Hydras are just going to be trying to fight from all angles, but it's just not going to be enough, and just such a huge line of siege tanks here will be good for INnoVation to take game 1 of this best of 7 semi-final, and the Team Liquid see Nerchio win the series. And I do expect Nerchio to be able to take a couple of maps here as we set up into this. The bottom left hand side, our Red Zerg player who is again looking to try and tie this up 1-1. He is Nerchio. Going up against the blue Terran player to the top right hand side of the map. It is INnoVation. Alright, so a little bit of a kind of a... It felt as though maybe that was a bit of a warm-up game perhaps for Nerchio here as well. I mean, you got to remember he built 2 lairs back to back. There's a point where he's building a lot of overlords. I mean, he was building like 4 overlords and we were like, well, that's not necessary. But I guess in fairness, he was maybe losing a few units at that same time. But it just felt as though the macro wasn't quite there. A couple of mistakes. When you're playing INnoVation, if INnoVation isn't making the mistakes, then he's... If INnoVation isn't making mistakes, then you can't afford to make mistakes yourself, because he's the one sort of player whose macro will be top-notch. You will not be slipping in that regard, and so you really have to bring your A game yourself if you're going to be able to take this one down. Landrastic in the chat says pronounce my name, and I just messed myself up because I was about to say, well, you gotta earn yourself my pronunciation of your name, but then I said your name right from the get-go, so I completely screwed that one up in general, didn't I? And what's up in Brixton? It's been a sub-gifting hero the last couple of days. Gifting a sub to Earl Prime, what's up? And welcome Earl Prime to the Wardy fam. Thank you very much for the for being the sub-giftee, and in Brixton for bringing the sub-gift to the channel. Thank you very much. Do appreciate it as we getting going. And we're just going to be seeing the factory is on the way up here with a reactor on the way down, a command center on the top left, on the top side as well. Just coming in on the natural. It's the only map in this map contest which has an in-base natural expansion, as we do see the Reaper on its way towards the bottom left hand side, obviously to start that scout information. No hatch no kind of pool first play, just the standard hatch gas pool to get started for Nerchio, as he is going to expand down on the low ground initially. It allows him to take the back base as a follow-up, and just makes it a little bit more difficult for INnoVation to confirm exactly if that is there all of the time. Nice link positioning, in position to deal with that Reaper on that little jump-up position, and Nerchio just going to push that back for now, and again deny the info for a little bit longer. Leaving the Queen at the front and the Zerglings over on this side. INnoVation is going to try and jump up again, and Nerchio just in there, and he is going to catch the Reaper with a full surround. Reaper does get taken down. What a pick-off by Nerchio to get things going. And INnoVation, he's going to be taking the first loss here in this game number 2. I am intrigued to see how else he's going to play here throughout the day. He was not playing INnoVation, purely mech the other day when we saw his TvZ, so he should be looking to mix some bio play in, I would imagine. As he looks to mix a bit of bio play into the gameplay, I wonder what maps he does that on. A lot of players have actually been using the much larger maps to play that bio on lately, with the idea that if you're playing bio and you can get a lot of bases, you can actually very nicely go up into Ghost Liberator, and that can play a very long game, but a game that's very effective for you because you're very efficient late game. And so if again you can keep on mining, it can go pretty well. So some players have been enjoying that. We saw MMA trying to use that against Nerchio yesterday, but had some difficulties on a couple of the engagements, as well as having some difficulties actually expanding beyond 4 bases, which is something you do need if you're going to play the Ghost Liberator, because you don't just wear away at the Zergs that quickly. You need to really wear them down over time. So if you don't get more than 4 bases yourself, you do find yourself in some trouble. Then Nerchio's going to change up his own playstyle this time. We see the Roach Roaring dropping down in the early stages, and as he goes up in towards the lair, he will be opening up his opportunities to perhaps go in towards, well, just some Roach speed, +1 missiles, maybe get the Roaches on the map. Obviously allows him to create a little bit of pressure in the game. Helps him to defend against a lot of Hellbat attacks very easily, as it is going to be mech once again, so especially against mech, obviously the Roach style works quite wonderfully, because in general you'd want to kind of continue building Roaches. You can play Lingbane Hydra against mech as well. That is something we just saw an attempt of from Nerchio in the last game. But even Roach Hydra has started to kind of retake popularity, I guess, in recent times, to come back and really be something which players have started to look towards once again here. Now we do see the 2 armories on the way up in the natural expansion for INnoVation, so he's getting his armories underway. There's the 2 extra factories coming up, so it looks as though the exact same build as last time, just going in towards those double upgrades early. The 4s are going to be on the way out to start coming across the map and getting some damage done. And we're just going to be seeing... In the meantime, the Raven was the one difference here. Instead of Cloak Banshee, he opens Raven, so it is a little bit of a difference. I was just going to see the Raven waiting to maybe jump in, but already Lings and a Queen in position. You know, those Zergs, it may have taken them a little while to really become the best at dealing with auto turret harass when it was a big feature kind of a few months ago. But right now, it is... Well, right now it is something which is... I guess like, so they didn't forget how to deal with these Ravens, right? They didn't forget how to shut it down easily. A few Lings in position, the Queen of Spore going to be there too, and just continue to look okay, as we're going to see. Even if this auto turret drops down, I imagine Nerchio will lose at most a couple of drones, maybe even just one. One of vehicle weapons still coming through here on these armories. Again, Infestation Pit and the Hydler's Den on the way up from Nerchio, as we do see just the Viking out in the center of the map as well. It's just sitting on the edge of the creep, hasn't actually found much just yet, apart from the single overlord that was on INnoVation's side originally. As the first Hellions starting to move across to look to see if they can get some bits and pieces of damage done. Obviously, one of the benefits of having the Raven, don't have to scan to clean up this creep spread, so the Hellions able to just do that for free here so far. Now going to be pulling back over to the right-hand side, as you do see that one Zergling just still holding this watchtower. And, well, in the very near future, we should see those medevacs coming across the map with their cargo inside, getting ready to drop some high-impact payloads, perhaps, onto the Zerg side of things. Just drop the auto turrets into the main base, where he actually does find himself a couple of drone kills. Do we not have... sorry, he just found one drone kill. He does get the second drone kill on the way up now. I thought he already had a couple, but maybe it was a Zergling or 2 plus the drone that I saw going down as we just jumped over there a little bit later on. And now 4's jumping into this natural expansion too, so Nerchio going to have to try and deal with this same kind of playstyle as the last game, right? Just try and figure out what to do against it, as we're going to be seeing the 4's do find themselves this extract to pick off. So that goes down. This Queen going to take another shot as well. Just going to be seeing those drones pulling around, seeing what else they can get up to. Some Roaches going to continue moving forwards, and we do see an evacuation there, as that is a defense out of Nerchio. A little bit of damage taken, and again, that is kind of beginning to become the issue, perhaps. As he gets in towards this position, if he keeps on taking damage, continuing on in the game becomes more problematic, and then you're in this location where you're dealing with a super efficient mech army, and you also haven't had a good start to the game. It starts to snowball quite heavily for the Terran player, so... Right now, just a little bit more creep spread being cleaned up, but you can already see the difference in size of this map as Nerchio just expands up the left-hand side. There's so much creep on the go, and INnoVation is really going to struggle to push across this map easily, like he did in the last game. You know, it was around now, after the 4 drops, where he just basically went back home, gathered his units together, and pushed across with everything at the same time as his 4th base came up. Now, here on 16-bit, he's going to have a much tougher time because, again, it's going to take him longer to get across the map. I feel like there's a few more positions where Nerchio can run in from a couple of different angles to make kind of more of a moment out of it, as we do see this refinery coming in, does just, the Roaches coming in and getting rid of that refinery. 4's going to be coming in as these Roaches make their way out. Doesn't actually lose any of those, which is pretty impressive considering the scenario. So we are going to be seeing those Roaches able to move away through the top side, and they will survive for the moment. Hellions, tanks, and 4's are still just gathering together, as INnoVation will be looking to see what he can do here in the future. And again, interesting, I feel like he hasn't pushed out just yet. Maybe waiting for 2-2, maybe that was his trigger to kind of get going in the last game, and it does look as though that is about time for him to start pushing right now. A lone infester added into this, which is always an intriguing kind of lone addition, especially versus mech. Not sure what exactly the goal is. Maybe a couple of infested Terrans to soak some shots initially. Hydra's going to have to be a bit careful. He has the fungal growth. Will slow down the advancing of this army by just a little bit. 1 or 2 Hydras getting caught at the tail end. This is going to be seen in a moment or so. Nerchio is going to turn to fight this, and there is the tanks in a big clump actually, so the Blinding Cloud is very good. The Vikings though have gotten rid of the one Viper up in the skies, and so that's gone down, so there's not going to be any follow-up Blinding Clouds. And there's just going to be a little bit too much right now for Nerchio to keep on pushing into that if those tanks are still sieged. Another few Hellions morphing into Hellbats here as those Hydras splitting up into a bit more of a concave. Tanks sieged once again, do fire away, and they pick off that Queen very easily. As the Hydras and Ravagers coming around this side will be able to pick off that siege tank, so a siege tank going down as the rest of these tanks go into unsiege as well and continue to push on forwards. And now coming in from a couple of angles, Lings, Roaches and Hydras coming on forwards, and you're just going to be seeing the Ravagers throwing down their corrosive bowels as well. As well, Nerchio had a really good engagement here. He came in from both directions, but it's just not going to be enough, it feels like. There's still just so many tanks in the back. There's even some Hellions in the front tanking away. A Viking lifts up from the ground to poke his way through this Viper. And I mean, again, the Vipers are one of the key units to kind of keep yourself, you know, to give yourself the utility to deal with the mech army. And if you don't have those up, you're going to be in trouble. And honestly, only one of them doesn't feel as though it's going to be enough either, as INnoVation is pushing forwards to try and take game number 2 and move himself to a 2-0 lead in this best of 7. A few more Hellions morphing into Hellbats here, as again, this push is continuing. The Ravagers now have finished up. As we're going to be seeing these Vikings grabbing themselves that Viper. That does go down, and here we go, Nerchio with one final attack forwards. The Queen to the right-hand side is going to do a little bit of the distracting when it comes to kind of pulling some shots away from the main army, but unfortunately it's still not going to be enough, as the bottom of a Ravager looks very weird, doesn't it? Just going to be seeing these tanks continue to push on in, and we are going to be seeing the Ravager just not going to be enough. Sword and Monk for Nerchio, maybe just a harassment once again. I don't even know if the 4 drops did too much though. It just feels as though he's just having difficulty getting enough up in time for this larger push. So maybe it is the 4 drops just slowing him down a little bit. Those couple of order turrets here and there, and Hellions moving around the map. He needs to find an answer though, because if INnoVation sees that he can just win the game with this same push game after game, INnoVation will be the player to just do the same push game after game. Nerchio goes for something cute here, a bit of a counterattack, but there is units reinforcing already, and so INnoVation just sieges those up, and it's a nice idea. It's something that could have worked out, as well. Now INnoVation's going to have those units trapped in. There's nowhere for them to run. They're going to run back up to the upper right side, where they will at least get themselves a few Hellion/Hellbat kills on their way. But of course, eventually they're still going to be going down. He sees another command center of INnoVation just building in location as he goes, and that's just how confident INnoVation is right now. No fear at all as he continues to expand through the map. And there's going to be seen Hellbats, tanks, Hellions pushing forwards to fight against this Roach Hydra force. As we're going to see, the Vikings will land. And we are just going to be seeing one Hydra getting picked off there, with these Cryptumers being picked away at as well still. Tanks sieging one last time to perhaps just get rid of another couple of Hydras here, and that is pretty much going to be it, right? As we see a few more tanks and a few more Hellions up to the top side. They're going to be pulling back towards the upper right. As again, Hydras, Roaches, and the Ravagers still in the play for Nerchio. I mean, the problem is he's just losing his bases. He's on 4 base still, which is something. But again, his tech isn't really there. A lot of his supply is really just these units such as Roaches, which are really just inflating his supply heavily. And so it really is as close as it might seem. I mean, it doesn't seem close per se. But, you know, his army supply was within. And keep the action coming your way. As we start off on Treachery, a map by Young Rustler that also comes in through the macro category. You saw MMA versus Nerchio on this map yesterday for the 4th map of their series. And Nerchio was actually looking at some trouble against the bio play until he found a very, very good engagement out on the map to completely turn things around. So let's see if today is going to be more of the same. Let's see if INnoVation is going to move away from that mech play, or if he's just going to keep on cracking it out here every single time. As to the bottom right, our blue Zerg player, it is Nerchio. He's up against the red Terran to the top left-hand corner. It is up to 0 in the series, INnoVation. Again, 2 best of 7s and a best of 5 for you all today, as it's our first of those 2 best of 7 semi-finals. Sue versus Bly coming in after this series. So going to be going into some Zerg versus Zerg action, which is going to be quite exciting as well. So looking forward to that as we did you see this orbital command on the way up, and just going to be seeing the barracks going to throw down the reactor here at the front. So reactor coming down on the barracks, command center is building on the natural, and this overlord of Nerchio coming up towards the upper side to see just what is going to happen. So Overlord coming up towards the top, as you can see, this Reaper of INnoVation is just sat outside the front, and going to be seeing Link Speed as well, starting up from Nerchio at the moment to obviously just kind of mimic the games of the past. Basically, the last two games have been exactly the same openings from both of these players so far. Just move out onto the bases. I mean, I feel as though, again, a lot of these bases just very difficult to attack into. I mean, look up here. This has to be a dream if you can hold this sort of position up here late game. You just get 2 bases for free later on by just positioning your army out over here. And so maybe early game you focus on the left-hand side, but if it does go super late, you get over here and you hold those bases, you're going to be rolling in the cash. As again, this was a map from the macro category, so it is in general very large. It is in general looking to, you know, go into longer games, although Nerchio may not be letting that happen anymore. As INnoVation is changing up his build order, by the way. This time he's going in towards the armory, so he's going into more of a Hellbat focused attack here early. As we're going to be seeing these, well, we're going to be seeing the lair actually coming through at the moment. So Nerchio's going to be going all in himself, and with this fast lair, obviously the two main options that arise are generally the Nidus network, or of course the Spire. So intrigued to see if is Nerchio going to throw down a Spire, because he is getting towards that sort of gas count. Where Spire becomes a reality, no, he is not. He's going to throw down the Roach Roar and he will start the Nidus and get these Roaches on the way out in the near future as well. So he is going to go for the Nidus play, but man, Nerchio, he's running up into a bit of an issue. I mean, already some Cyclones on the way out. There's currently 10 Zerglings on the way to try and help against these Hellbats. The problem is, going into this faster lair, he's limited on the amount of Queens he has, and this is actually a pretty fast kind of set of Hellbats here, because that Armory is going for +1 to help out on the Cyclones, and Nerchio just doesn't have a defense. And this large, longer map is just not going to see the life of day here today, unfortunately, as INnoVation game. We start down to the bottom right-hand side with the man, the machine, the player who's just been absolutely flawless so far in this series. Again, slight changes to the build order each time, something a little bit different from the Cloak Banshee to a Raven to a faster Armory there in game free. And now we go into game number 4. As we have, again, leading to the bottom right, INnoVation. And he is up against the red Zerg player to the top left-hand side of the map. It's Nerchio. Remember, if INnoVation wins this, it guarantees us a best of 15 TvZ tomorrow with every map played. That means we'll be seeing 15 maps of action. And personally, we are looking forward to it, as we're going to be seeing the spawning pool coming down post-gas here, but before hatchery, which does mean that we are going to be having a couple of lings coming out early, and maybe Nerchio looking to throw some aggression out on the map here to try and take INnoVation down. So we do see the spawning pool is just on the way up, and this barracks from INnoVation, I mean, obviously for him, not really many choices in terms of what you do in the super early game as TvZ, unless you're going to go CC first or proxy something. The Rex and the gas will be the majority of what you see for the first 2 minutes of the game, into the factory, into the expansion, then the factory, reactor, all of that sort of stuff. So, again, for so far, INnoVation just kind of keeping on going, and in a couple of minutes we'll maybe see the divergence of his build from what he's been doing previously, but for now, it really is just nothing out of the ordinary, as we do have the Overlord continuing on down towards this bottom right-hand corner. Just seeing Nerchio with an Overlord just out the front of this natural as well. Just keeping track of where any of those units might try and push on in from. See if there's any Reaper coming through. There isn't a Reaper ledge over on this side, so it's one of those maps again where Reapers are not going to be able to scout into the main base super easily. As we do see the first 2 Zerglings coming across the right, and this is one of the rush maps, so it is a bit of a shorter rush distance, natural to natural. And as we have got this Reaper already coming in towards the upper left-hand side, just to see what exactly it can get up to. These couple of Zerglings continuing on along though, and as they arrive over here, we're going to see this command center is about 60% of the way done, but it's not quite finished up just yet. So this SCV has to run around, the Reaper has to pull back. Now Nerchio making a few more Zerglings to try and get a cancel on the CC perhaps. So the longer he delays this CC from building, the better it's going to be for him. As we're going to see this one Zergling going into the main. Oh my god, he's going to block the Hellions. INnoVation Oh, INnoVation's in so much trouble. Lings are going to keep streaming across the map, and Nerchio's got to be giggling to himself at the moment because this Zergling's not going down for so long, and look how long he's blocked these Hellions for, as he even gets the Ling into the main base, which pulls the Reaper back, which means the rest of the Lings aren't seen as they come in, and now this CC is not going to finish. Now, it obviously could still finish here as the Mule dropped down the low ground. Obviously now realizes that that is maybe a bit of a mistake. INnoVation just has so long until those Hellions come out. I just don't know if he can actually defend this command center. And it looks as though he's probably just going to have to cancel this here. CC going to be denied by Nerchio. And for the first time in this series, Nerchio is the one who really is in control of the game. What a startup from Nerchio here. In game number 4 to start fighting back. As INnoVation gets this armory up, so looking towards the Hellbats once again. Maybe the +1 vehicle weapons to play in towards that... well, to play in towards those Cyclones that we saw last game that never really came to fruition. And there is the vehicle weapon upgrade coming on through as Nerchio sets up a concave of his Zerglings on the low ground, so a couple of Hellions, if they do pop down here, they can be surrounded quickly. They won't just grab one big chunk of kind of damage onto the Zerglings or anything like that. As we're just going to be seeing those Hellions and Reapers setting up on the natural expansion, and creep spread continue to push on out. Roach Roaring is just over halfway done. Again, these feelings coming around from the left, and we are going to be seeing one more Zergling getting picked away at there. As Nerchio gets away, and again, he hasn't really lost anything. 5 Lings, and, you know, to kill one SCV, it doesn't seem great, right? But then you remember that he's forced to cancel on the command center, and that really is huge. As the INnoVation just not start the CC in the main base again, and he just started on the low ground? Wow. That's a long time to wait, as we're going to see now Hellions coming across the map. To deal with what's going to be the Ling counterattack once again. They're going to be here to clean this up. There's a few of the Lings already peeling away. They will get the SCV. Not too much more to be gained, as we're going to be seeing the rest of the Lings going to come in as well. And I mean, yeah, I think Nerchio realizes he just has to pull back. How is he going to be, you know, how is he going to actually do much here? As you see, Roach is on the way up, so he is looking good to be able to deal with this Hellion Roach setup. Sorry, Hellion Cyclone setup. The command center on the natural is going to be finishing in a moment or two, and we do see the Hellions now moving into Hellbats. Roach is moving forwards and starting to fight against these couple of units. So I'm just going to be seeing a couple of Hellbats already going down, and just going to be seeing these Roaches continuing to kite backwards. 2 Cyclones obviously helping a little bit here, but as the Hellbats go down, it really opens the door for these Roaches to just jump on the Cyclones, and as they fall, INnoVation does not really have much to say. And there we have it. Nerchio fights back and takes maybe expect to see with the rate at which we were going through those games just previously. But let's see what will become of this now as we set up into game number 5. To the bottom right hand side of the map, our red Zerg player, it is Nerchio. Gonna set up and going here in these early stages. Game number 5. Nerchio finally get himself on the scoreboard. And obviously every single game right now is him defending his tournament life. Although not a bad run so far, if he does win here, he will still take home $300. And even if he loses, he still has the chance to take home $500 in the 3rd place match, which will happen just a little bit later on. The top left hand side of the map, our blue Terran player. It is going to be, of course, the machine himself. Getting a little bit messed up in his build order there with those Lings in the last game. Not going to be the same thing this time with the Hatch Gas Pool instead of Gas Pool Hatch. Here on Digital Frontier, we have INnoVation. This is actually my one of my favorite maps, actually. I really think it looks very cool. I think it looks really nice. I like the aesthetic on it. I think it's just one of these straight up and standard maps that can do very well in the ladder map pool. I don't think a lot of people would complain about. I think this, I actually think I have a bit of a bias to the -0 maps this season, because I think this and Blue Shift are both just beautiful maps that really just kind of everything that I like to see in a StarCraft 2 map, which is a couple of different choices of expansions at some point of the game. You know, it's just pretty standard, it's nothing really wacky, it looks good while being clean and simple and not over the top. I really do like the -0 maps in this this year's map contest. As we do have this Reaper on its way down to the bottom right hand side. INnoVation going to be arriving into that natural expansion in the next few moments. They're going to be popping in, just going to be seeing Zerglings coming out, chasing that Reaper down. And we do see the first Zergling actually going down, which is a nice pickup already. A second Zergling too, so Nerchio a little bit slow to pull back here and there. Has to be a bit better on the drones. Would not like to lose any of those early. Obviously the Queen coming out though will be a larger help. There's Nerchio taking the third hatchery. That's confirmed here by INnoVation, so INnoVation just gets that piece of information, which will allow him to kind of play on from here. So that Reaper pulling back over to the right side. Link speed, as it's halfway done from Nerchio, obviously he'll open up some opportunities for himself in the game, but I imagine it wouldn't be anything too aggressive considering it was hatch gas pool rather than gas pool hatch. We're just going to be seeing from INnoVation he's going away from that armory playstyle once again and back in towards the starport play. So we'll see what he does with this, whether it's going to be Cloak Banshee. Is he going to play Bio at all in this series? Well, that's what we're looking towards as well, or is he going to keep on playing that mech style? Nerchio, after a couple of more aggressive games now, you know, he played macro the first two against the mech, and I think I almost said macro there. But he played macro the first two against the mech style of INnoVation, then he kind of just died while trying to rush a lair in game 3. And then the fourth game, of course, he had that little bit of a link flood, which we just saw, to bring him the victory finally. And as we do see, 2 Reapers and Hellion just going for the creep tumor actually, and oh, it's not enough. That grenade from the Reaper didn't quite pick off the creep tumor there, which is a shame. Now this is still a fairly quick lair. This is almost like, rather than 2 base lair at kind of a 3-minute marker, it's like a 3 base lair at like a 3:30 marker. So instead of going on this on 2 bases, you're going on 3. So it's a little bit of a later lair and tech from that, but it does give you a little bit more eco and a little bit of a... It's a little bit less all in as he's going to be throwing down the Roach Roaring. So it looks as though this might just be for nice fast Roach speed, unless he really does just want to go... Maybe it's the variant where you go kind of Nidus with the Roach speed as well. Because it will be just a slightly later Nidus. He's got a lot of gas stacked up. A couple of Overlords. He's definitely planning to make a lot of Roaches here in the near future. Might just skip the Nidus and just purely go onto the Roaches with Roach speed, but there it is. The Nidus coming down. Oh man, well the Roach Roaring's going to be seen here as Hellions are diving the natural, and Nerchio has to start responding to this. But these Hellions are going to get into the main, and I mean they've already seen the Nidus network, so information's already being gained here. There's just so many drones being lost, and INnoVation is just finding the gaps in Nerchio's play here, the openings that arise when you try to be a bit greedy in terms of setting up into the lair and the Nidus without any units ready to go from the get-go, and well, now 15 drones lost. Nerchio needs a lot of damage done from this Nidus attack, but is he going to find 15? I mean, he needed to do a lot initially. Now that he's 15 drones down, it's only going to get harder, plus he's going to struggle to make enough units to even do much. I don't even know what you do at this stage. You're going to see the Roaches do pick that Hellion off, and that does get shut down in the back here of the bottom right-hand side. A few more Zerglings on the way up here from Nerchio as well, continuing to set up into this. 18 Lings on the way out, actually. So just going to be trying to get aggressive. He is going to commit to it. As the Overseer Seal come into the main base, the Nidus will look to come down, and I mean, double bunker at the front, the Marines, the tank. He actually cancels the bunkers. That's how confident I guess he feels at the moment. Well, Nerchio's going to throw down the Nidus, but with a tank already here, I mean, it's just going to siege up in range of the Nidus while being very safe because it's blocked off by the corner of this base. And we see SCVs pulling on in. They're going to be getting a surround on this Nidus network. Shut this down into, well, basically just force the GG. INnoVation takes the series 4-1. Congratulations to him. And as he shuts down this aggressive play of Nerchio to move through to the grand finals, guaranteeing us tomorrow a best of 15 all maps